have been working with us since the beginning of this operation for the past 9 months. So I'm going to update you on exactly how we got here. So back in February of 2021 of this year, I met with the Major Case Unit and I met with the Strategic Operation Division. And we started discussing on the violence that had been going on in our city involved in 2020, the shootings and other violent crimes in our city. We wanted to address those issues. We wanted to know who was doing it, why they were doing it, and what they were doing. During the investigation, the detectives did an outstanding job. They were able to cover a group working out of the Charles Park neighborhood, and they were responsible for an extensive amount of narcotic sale and drug distribution throughout our city. This was not the typical street level narcotics. This group was distributing pounds of marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl throughout our city. I want to just tell you one brief story that the detectives told about and we heard on the wire was one of our fentanyl stories. And that is what the drug dealers were doing were, as they did a mixture of the fentanyl, they would call somewhere between 10 to 15 addicts and have them test the fentanyl to see how strong it was. And they would ask them to call them back and say, on a scale of 1 to 10, where does that fentanyl is? If it's a 10, then that means they had to cut it back, or if it's at a 3, that means they had to add more to it. So if you think about that, they were willing to use guinea pigs, so to speak, before they put the product out on the road to see how it would work. After they got their information back from their drug addicts, then they would then distribute the narcotics to the street. The detectives this week, again, with the state attorney's office and our federal partners, executed 4 search warrants in our city. During those search warrants, we confiscated 127 pounds of marijuana, as you can see to my right and to my left of the property that were taken. 8 pounds of powdered cocaine, a little over a half a pound of fentanyl, and 7 guns. Go back to the fentanyl. If you look at a DEA report, 2 milligrams, and again, I want to say this, 2 milligrams of fentanyl is considered a potential legal dose. If you did the math, we confiscated over 143 lethal doses of fentanyl in our city. The population of the city of St. Petersburg is 270,000. So again, think about that. 143 lethal doses we confiscated this week, and our population is 270,000 people. We also seized 5 vehicles. We seized jewelry that was estimated over $150,000 and $73,000 in cash. One of the guns that were recovered from the search warrant was stolen from a vehicle, and the other guns are being tested now to see what other crimes that could have been used in our city and also throughout the county. Now, these cases were also due to major crimes in our city, and they were associated with the drug dealing and the money involved in it. This group estimated about 80 to 100 pounds a week of marijuana that they were selling. Again, 80 to 100 pounds a week that they were selling. Estimated value is somewhere between $80,000 to $120,000 cash. That's not including the heroin, the fentanyl, and the cocaine that they were selling. Other charges that are related to these drug charges are the following: attempt murder, shooting from a vehicle, conspiracy to commit robbery, felon in possession of a firearm, armed trafficking in fentanyl, trafficking in heroin, cocaine, marijuana, and several other charges. Again, we have arrested 21 people. And we're not done yet because we're still out there looking to arrest more people. The message that I really want to get out to everyone is 2 things. One, this was not about a small amount of marijuana being sold in our city. This operation was about making sure that we stop the violent crime in our city. This operation was about having an impact on stopping the violent crime in our city. And last but not least, any individual or group that think they're going to replace this group, think twice about it. Because I can tell you this, we may not catch you today, we may not catch you tomorrow, but we're going to catch you just like we caught this group. So with that, I'll open up for any questions.
Chief, this sounds like an Amazon distribution hub for drugs.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, this group had everything. They were, you name it, they were selling it. And the biggest thing, they were using the marijuana so they could do their cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl.
Chief, will police officers or special agents put in any extra harm during the execution or during this operation at all? Was there any problems, violent interaction with any of this?
Any day these officers go out there, they're putting themselves in harm's way. So as they're doing this operation, yeah, they were in harm's way, but they wanted to make sure that we did have an impact on stopping our violent crime in our city. And that's what we started about. When this operation started, it was to stop the violent crime in our city.
Can you talk about the fact that, you know, these guys were arrested, a lot of them probably already bonded out. What's to stop them from going back into business?
There, again, we'll just make sure that we're ready for them right now. I think all of them are still in custody. I don't know what their bonds are right now. Again, like I said, thanks to Mr. Bartley's attorney, we're working through that to make sure they're not back out on the street. But they could bond out, and the message to them is when they bond out, we'll be looking for them again because they're not going to destroy our city and they're not going to destroy our county.
Besides the substantive charges of the drug charges, it seems like there's lots of affidavits on these individuals. You tried to have underlying charges. There was domestic violence, violation of probation. So is that one of the methods you're using to try to keep them in jail by charging whatever you can on these offenders?
We're not trying to stack charges on them. What we're telling you is that when we were looking at them, we're looking at all the things that were involved in the violent crime in our city. You heard what I called out. They were attempt murder. They were robberies. They were shooting at cars. They were shooting into homes. That's what this operation is about. That's what we're going to stop. They were using their marijuana sale to make sure that they could continue their other criminal enterprise. Not going to happen here. These detectives have done an outstanding job. We got a great federal and state partners, and we're going to go after that. So it wasn't looking at the little charges because we weren't worried about those. We were looking at the violent crimes that were in our city. Domestic violence is a serious charge, but we're not looking at anything else.
Can you talk about this operation is, you know, complete, but is this an ongoing operation for you guys? I mean, this isn't over?
Yeah, this operation is not complete because we're still looking for other subjects that were involved in this. And we know that someone is going to think that they can fill this void, and we're telling them right now, don't try to fill this void because we're going to come for you also.
I kind of ask this question every time you have an initiative like this, but what does the federal agencies bring to you? Are they putting manpower side by side, special agents next to your officers? Are they providing overtime dollars either to help with buys or pay for overtime?
They do just about all those things. They give us resources, whether it's equipment, whether they're going to help us with the overtime or manpower. Whatever we ask for, our federal partners are there just for that.
And I don't know if you can answer this, Chief, but should people in the community feel safer?
They should feel safer because the detectives identified this group from Charles Park that they were using this marijuana to help out with their other criminal activity. Because they were fighting, they were making over $120,000 a week just in marijuana sales. So of course there are going to be some shootings. Of course there's going to be some robbery because they're fighting for that money every day. So that's what the detectives did. They set out to stop the violence in our city due to the marijuana sale.
You said it earlier, you know, you said you set up a wire, many wires on this operation. How important is that type of intelligence and evidence-based gathering that you get from wiretaps?
I didn't say we set up a wire. You're saying we set up a wire, so I didn't say that. What I said was that we were out there and we did an investigation.
Chief, do you think that this is, since stopping these individuals, do you think that this is going to cut back on the many shootings and homicides that we've seen here in St. Petersburg since 2020? And aren't we up to our 30 homicides so far this year?
Sure. So again, the reason why this operation was set up was just for that, to hopefully this will stop the shootings in our city. And as you said earlier, we did have some homicides back in 2020 that could be related to this group, but in 2021, we've had 29 homicides. Of those 29 homicides, 28 have been closed with arrest. No one in this group has been linked to those 28 homicides. Those were, again, domestics and other things. No one, we can say for sure that no one in this group was involved in any homicide of the 28 that we solved this year.
Maybe Mr. Bartlett can tell us how, who's gonna try to keep all these defendants in jail or bond hearings and stuff?
Well, obviously, obviously our intent is to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law on each and every one of these individuals that have been arrested. The drug dealing was part of a systemic effort in the community where these folks are arming themselves with guns. And you asked earlier, were the law enforcement officials at risk when they did this? Absolutely. These were individuals who knew and had firearms. All that was displayed during the course of the investigation. And for them to go out and make arrests, they were literally putting their life at line on that. So.
Are you gonna try harder through your prosecutors when they ask for bond hearings to try to keep them in
Absolutely.
jail?
We're doing it right now as we speak. We're doing everything we can to keep them off the streets. They don't go back to doing what they were doing.
Because most of these offenses that they've been charged with are bondable.
They are.
There's a standard bond.
They're going to carry very high levels of bond. Courts have so far cooperated at this particular point with keeping the bonds up high. They do have a lot of money around that I'm sure we missed some, so they're going to be making aggressive attempts to go ahead and try to utilize that towards their bonding out. But if we can stop them, we're going to do it.
Anyone else? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Did anyone not get a